Hello everybody and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I really hope you're all doing okay and having a great day and an amazing week. My name is Effy and today we are doing a re-review video. If you've never seen my re-review videos before, it's where I take all the videos that I tested in this... If you've never seen one of my re-review videos before, it's where I take all the products that I tested in videos this month last year and I put them back on my face and let you know how I'm feeling about them a year later. The reason I do this is because first impression videos do not always give the full story, unfortunately, and it's just nice to test things out again and see how you're feeling about them after a year's worth of having them. In today's video we have a bunch of Primark products. We also have the Beautybay Wilderness palette because I tested that this time last year, and we have some NYX products as well. This is the final look. Let me know what you think of it down in the comment section down below, but other than that I will let you watch the video. I really hope you enjoy it. If you do, give it a big thumbs up, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing. I put up 2 videos a week and it's all makeup content, so if that's inside type of thing, then this is the place for you. Other than that, enjoy the video. So let's make a start, and before we do, I just want to say I did a re-review a couple of months ago where I used a bunch of Primark products there, and I think I got a bit confused between which products were meant to be used in that video and which products were meant to be used in this video. But that's fine because I've also now done my declutters, so I only have about 1 full face worth of Primark makeup anyway. So I'm just going to include in this video all the Primark makeup I have, and then at least I know that most of it has been covered, and anything that's been decluttered clearly wasn't worth buying. So let's make a start with primers. I have 2. One of them is the NYX Pore Filler Targeted Stick. I'm going to pop some of this on the porous areas of my face and then we'll chat about it. I really quite enjoy this stick. It was very kindly sent to me by NYX to test and I really enjoyed it. However, I will say since I picked up the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer, I use that way more because they give similar effects. And for some reason I just reach for the e.l.f. one more. But I do really like this stick. I can't remember how much it costs because it was sent to me. But there's not loads of product in here, but it does go down very, very slowly. So I feel like you'd get quite a lot out of what's in here. That's how much is in here. I've used it a fair amount as well. I do really like it. In terms of would I repurchase it if I were to lose all of my makeup, I feel like I actually would. As much as I enjoy using the e.l.f. one over this, if I go home for a weekend, if I go anywhere for a weekend where I have to take my makeup with me, this is a lot more convenient to travel with, and I personally think they do the exact same job. So I do really like this one and I would repurchase it if I lost all of my makeup. We also have another primer. This is the Primark Prep and Perfect Prime and Infuse Instant Hydrating Priming Spray, and it's infused with hyaluronic acid and watermelon extract. I'm just going to quickly spray some of this on my face. It does smell amazing. I love the packaging. I think they still sell these, but I think they've changed the packaging. So it's still in a spray bottle, but instead of having like the watermelons all over it, I think it's just like a white plastic. I'm not sure. I really like that. It was a friend's. She decluttered it and gave it to me, and I've been using it. I haven't used loads of it, but it is down to about here, which is pretty good going for me considering how much makeup I have. In terms of would I repurchase this if I lost all of my makeup? Yes, because it's nice to have. I wouldn't rush out to repurchase it, but it is definitely nice to have and I do enjoy it, so I would repurchase it. Moving on to foundation, and I can't remember which one I tested in the last re-review, but this is the Longwear Radiant Matte Foundation, medium buildable coverage in the shade 123 Warm. I did have their like double coverage foundation, which I think is meant to be a dupe of the Estee Lauder foundation. I decluttered that because I really didn't like it. I used it in my testing video and I hadn't used it since. It's just too full coverage. I personally like a medium to full coverage, and that was just way too much, so I decluttered it. So I wouldn't repurchase that one if I lost it out of my collection, but let's pop this one on and talk about it. This for me is a really nice foundation, and as much as it looks the complete wrong shade for me when it comes out of the bottle and goes on my skin, I actually don't think it blends out to be that bad. It is maybe a touch too warm for me. I have more of a neutral undertone, but I think once it's blended out it looks a lot better. In terms of the coverage, this is sort of the level of coverage that I like to go for. I think it has a nice finish, not too matte, not too dewy. I actually really like this foundation. I don't reach for it all too often because I find myself pretty much always using my Project Pan makeup. but this is actually a really nice one and I do enjoy it. Would I repurchase it if I lost all of my makeup? I actually think I would. I mean, it made it through the declutter, and part of that will have been that I wanted to keep at least one Primark foundation in my collection, but I really do like this one. I am planning to try and do another testing Primark makeup video soon. I have had a request to do one, so I will be trying to do that. I just have to get myself to a Primark, so hopefully they'll have some more foundations that I can test, but this one is definitely the best one of the two that I've tested so far. For concealer, I did have a Primark concealer. It was like the camouflage concealer. It came in a tube. I decluttered it. I really didn't like it. It was, again, way too full coverage. It also came in a squeezy tube, which isn't really my thing. So I'm just going to quickly go in with any random concealer. It will be linked down in the description box in case you're interested, but I'm not really going to talk about it in this video. Time for powder, and I do have two from Primark. This is the Bake It setting powder in the shade Nude. This is in my project pan at the moment. I've pretty much been using this and only this for the past 3 months, and I absolutely love it. And then we also have this one, which is the Natural Finish Flawless Powder and Foundation in the shade 212 Neutral, and it looks like this. I've not used it as a powder foundation, and I rarely reach for this, but what I have been doing over the past couple of weeks is where I have more visible spots on my face, I just pop a little bit of this over the top because it just adds a tiny little bit of extra coverage, and I think that really helps. So what I'm going to do today is put the loose powder all over my face and then pop a little bit of this over my more visible blemishes. There we go, I'm looking very powdered down. In terms of would I repurchase these products, the Bake It setting powder, yes. I actually really enjoy this. I have quite a bit left, but I have been using it over the past 3 months in my project pan, and I really enjoy it. So I would definitely repurchase this. In terms of the pressed powder, I don't think I'm ever going to get through this amount of pressed powder because I just don't use pressed powder often enough. So I probably wouldn't repurchase this. But it is nice to have, and I think it does do a good job of just adding that tiny bit of extra coverage to my blemishes. But I don't think that's enough to make me want to repurchase it, although it is only £5, which isn't bad in my opinion. Now we're going to move on to blush, and once again I did have a Primark blush. It was like a £1 blush, so about this big, and it was in the shade In the Pink, and it was a very pink shade. However, I did declutter it from my collection because pink blush isn't something I tend to go for, and it was a very pigmented pink blush. So it just wasn't something I was reaching for very often. So instead I'm just going to go in with another slightly less pigmented pink blush instead. And obviously for that blush I wouldn't repurchase that shade, but I definitely want to test it out in some other shades. I put loads on just to prove I'm not against pink blush. It's just not something I tend to go overboard with. But let's move on to bronzer. Again, I can't remember which one I spoke about in my last re-review, but there were two. I think I spoke about this one. This is the Luminous Sheer Glow and Finishing Powder in 312 Medium. The one that I didn't speak about, I've now decluttered. It was like a cardboard, like rectangle shaped box. It was pink, it was in the shade Dreamer, and it was just way too dark for me. And I didn't really like it, and I couldn't really use it. So this one stayed, and I love this one. Again, this one was in my project pan at some point this year, but let's chuck some on and chat about it. For me, I think this works so nicely as a bronzer because I think it's meant to be a finishing powder for somebody with darker skin than me, and therefore it's a very natural skin colour. Obviously not for me, but it's a natural skin colour, and therefore it doesn't look super heavy and too much on my skin. I haven't reached for this loads since it came out of my project pan because again I've just been reaching for my project pan makeup, but I absolutely adore this bronzer. And I think it has a teeny bit of shimmer in it that I actually didn't realise it had until I did my declutter videos and swatched it, and I was like, wow, there's shimmer in here. But I absolutely love this. It's slowly being worn down. I doubt I'm going to hit pan on it this year, but I do really love it. I would 100% repurchase this. Even if I still had the rest of my makeup, if I lost this, or if it broke, or if I did finish it all up, I would repurchase it because it is definitely a staple in my collection. And for £4, you can't really go wrong. Now we're going to talk about highlight, and again, originally there was two. There was this one, which is the highlight palette in Rose Luxe. It looks like this. It has 4 shades in it. These two are too dark for me, but I often use them on my inner corner, which I'll probably end up doing today. But these two I really, really like. And then I did have another one, which was kind of similar cardboardy packaging to this, but it was small and square and white, and it was called the Diamond Bomb Highlight. I decluttered that one because it was way too glittery, way too powdery, way too icy. It was just too much. So I decluttered it. So I wouldn't repurchase that, but let's put some of this on and chat about it. I'm probably just going to go in with a mix of these two shades, to be honest. You don't need a lot of this highlight, it is very pigmented, and I actually really like it. It is maybe a touch on the powdery side, but that doesn't really bother me. You can put some setting spray over the top and it'll look absolutely fine. And compared to the Diamond Bomb highlight, I definitely prefer this one. So when I decluttered the Diamond Bomb, I knew keeping this one would mean I had some Primark highlighters in my collection, which is a good thing. I do really like this highlight. I think it works really, really nicely. If I lost all of my highlights, would I repurchase this one? Probably not. Not because there's anything wrong with it, just because I don't get the use out of it that I think I should. Now let's zoom you in and do the eyes. I don't have an eye primer that was tested this time last year, so I'm just going to pop one of those on, but then we do have some eyeshadow palettes to talk about. Eyes are primed, and in terms of what palettes I tested this time last year, I did have two really small 6-pan eyeshadow palettes from Primark. One was Flame and one was Berries, I think. I decluttered both of those. They were really, really nice palettes for everyday work, school, appropriate looks, whatever you wanted to use it for. They just weren't getting used in my collection. I have a handful of eyeshadow palettes that I have for every day, and then the rest of my eyeshadow palettes are picked to be used for YouTube and Instagram, so they kind of have to be pigmented and exciting and fun to use. And I just didn't see much use for those two palettes in my collection, but they are really nice, and if you do want an everyday palette, Primark isn't a bad shout. But an eyeshadow palette I do have was the Beautybay Wilderness palette. I tested this time last year. It looks like this. I have hit pan in this shade here and this shade here. This palette is in my project pan, so I've used it a lot. And I'm going to do a look today, but bearing in mind my blush is pink and 2 of the 4 lipsticks I have in front of me are also pink, I don't see how this is really going to work. Unless I just say F it and just do whatever I want and the lip will just have to deal with it. Which I think is probably what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to go for a green look. I think I'm really going to stick to like this row here, this second row, and just use those. I'm just going to do a really simple, easy, Effy look with mattes and shimmers. I will hold up the palette to show you which shade I'm using, but mostly you're going to just hear me talking about the palette over the top. So this eyeshadow palette, like I said, it's been in my project pan all year and I've really, really loved using it. I enjoy green eyeshadow. I love it on my eyes particularly. I think that green eyeshadow suits a lot of people. They just sort of hide away from it because it's green. But I absolutely adore this palette. I also picked up the Earthy palette when it was released. I've done a video on that. And realistically, this palette is going to get used a lot. It's already being used a lot. I'm already using all the shades. I'm getting pan in some shades now, which is amazing. And I just absolutely love this palette. I think the shimmers are really, really great. There are some shimmers in this palette that I don't love, but the ones I've used today are really great, really shimmery, show up really well. The mattes have amazing pigment. I just truly love this palette and I think it's going to get a lot more use in my collection. Even though I now have the Earthy palette, I still reach for this one over that, although that one does have a lot more greens because I have the big 42 pan version. I truly do love this palette and I can't wait to see more pan in it. Unfortunately, I haven't hit any more pan today, but that's fine. I think the greens are amazing. I even enjoy using the reds and the more neutral shades in this palette. I don't use them as often, same as I don't always reach for blues in this palette because I come to this palette for greens, but they do get used and I do really enjoy them, and I'm just really happy that I have this palette. It's no longer available, but I'm so glad I picked it up, and I'm pretty sure when I saw it I was like, yep, that's me, I'm getting it, it's mine. And I'm not disappointed. So What I'm going to do now is we'll do brows and mascara, and then I'll go off camera and catch up the other eye all in one go. So for brows, we have the Primark brow pencil. I think this is the shade Blonde. But this is just a standard brow pencil. It's got a spoolie on one end, it has the pencil on the other end, and there is a sharpener in the lid, which is amazing and comes in very handy. I actually used it the other day to sharpen an eyeliner pencil, and it worked just fine. So let's pop some of this on. That's all I'm going to do to them right now because I've recently shaved them and I actually think they look quite neat and tidy for once. With this, I would typically go in with a brow gel, a tinted one, just to bring some life back to my brow hairs. But I'm not going to do that today because I don't think it really needs it. I think this is a nice enough brow pencil. For a standard pencil that is sharpenable, I think it's fine. I typically tend to go for micro brow pencils, the like super skinny ones. So using this is a bit not as precise, and I think you can tell that. But I'm pretty sure this cost maybe £1, £1.50, £2 maximum. I don't think that's too bad, considering how long it is, how much product you get, how well it works, how pigmented it is. It is really nice. If you are looking for a standard brow pencil, this is a really, really nice one. So now it's time for mascara, and we have this one, which is the False Lash Queen mascara. I love this mascara. I think this one was also in my project pan, and again, I haven't reached for it since it came out of my project pan much, but it is one of my top 3 mascaras in my collection, and I'm pretty sure this cost maybe £3. Oh, I've just remembered I haven't been saying whether or not I would repurchase products. So the eyeshadow palette, the Wilderness palette, I physically can't repurchase it, but I would be very, very upset if I lost it out of my collection, and I would want to repurchase it, which is a good thing. The brow pencil, would I repurchase it? Probably not, just because it's not really what I tend to go for. But if I was looking for a standard brow pencil to use, I would repurchase it. And now let's move on to mascara. I'm not sure how much of that you're actually able to see, so I might just cut it out, but let's chat about the mascara. It is a natural bristle brush. I tend to like both natural and plastic bristles. It doesn't really bother me. I think they give different effects, and that's fine. I can feel this one drying up a bit. I have had it for a year-ish at this point. Would I repurchase it? Yes, 100% in a heartbeat. I might go and buy a new one this weekend just because that one's drying up. I love this mascara. Like I said, it's one of my top 3. My other 2, in case you're interested, are the ReVolution Tasty Avocado Mascara and the Beauty Crop Avocado Mascara. So both of them have avocado oil in them, but this one doesn't. And I really love this one. I'm pretty sure the ReVolution one is a plastic bristle and the Beauty Crop one is a natural bristle. I'm not sure, I can't really remember, but I love all 3 of them. One of my top 3 mascaras. I love it to bits. Definitely recommend it. The other mascara I tested from Primark, I hated, and I threw it out the moment I finished filming with it. But this one I really like. What I'm going to do now is go off camera, catch up the other eye, and I'll be back in a moment. I'm back and looking a bit more symmetrical. I must say I'm actually really liking this eye look. This is a standard Effy green look, and I love them. So now let's do a lip. So we have 3 products. First things first, we have the Primark PS Matte Lipstick in the shade Tickle. Again, this was in my project pan. It looks like this. It is a pink shade, it smells amazing. I'll just put it on the back of my hand because I'm probably not going to use this one today. It looks like that actually could work. I mean, it could work as in, I would love to do a nude lip with this, but none of the lips products in front of me are a nude lip. So out of the options I have, this might work. Then we also have a lip gloss. Now this is actually a sample of a lip gloss. This is from a brand called Astro Beauty. I don't know if they're still a brand. I follow them on Instagram and I'm like, I say I'm friends with the owner. I'm not. I just know her through Instagram. And they don't post very often anymore, I don't think. I'm just trying to get it to not spill all over me. But this is a sample. Again, it smells amazing, of their lipstick, of their lip gloss in the shade Mojito. They had 4 of these, and they were sending out little samples, so I asked for the Mojito shade. I might use this, I might not. I'm just going to put it down. And then we also have the NYX XX Lingerie These are liquid lipsticks. I tested the shade Stamina in the video that I tested the Wilderness palette. That could go. Gives a very like green ivy sort of look. Poison ivy? What's that superhero? I don't know. We also have the shade Expose Me, which I've used a few times. That could work too, in the same way this one could. Sort of a bit more nudie. And then I have this one, which I've actually never tried before, and I'm tempted to use this one. This is the shade Straps Off. Okay. And I was sent this, very kind. I was sent all three of these by NYX, by the way. But I was sent this one more recently, and I've just not had an opportunity to use it. So I might actually go in with this one, but I'll quickly talk about the other products. So the PS matte lipstick, would I repurchase this? Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure these are like £1, £1.50. I actually want to go and get some more of these. I think they're a really good formula. The lip gloss, probably wouldn't repurchase it just because I don't go for lip glosses very often, and I have like 4 clear lip glosses, and I probably just repurchase whichever one is cheapest. The NYX lingeries, I'll pop this on and then we'll chat about it. This shade is a touch darker than I would normally go for. I think for this look it works fine. I've not done the best application, it's not even whatsoever, but oh well. In terms of the colour, because like I said I've never worn this shade before, it's quite nice. It's darker than what I would normally go for, but because of that I don't have many shades that are this dark. And I think this will come in handy because the only other shade I did have that was this dark I decluttered because I didn't like the formula. In terms of the formula for these, they're very comfortable, very opaque, they don't take loads of building up. I think they look really nice, they're very comfortable. They don't last all day long. I've worn the pink one, Expose Me, out a few times. It doesn't last all day, but it does fade nicely. It doesn't like peel off, it doesn't look weird, it just fades and then you can just reapply on top and it looks fine, which I appreciate. And now that it's drying down, I'm actually kind of getting on board with the colour. I do kind of want to lighten it. Am I allowed to lighten it? Just a touch, just with something. Let me just lighten it. Okay. You can barely tell that I've lightened it, let's just pretend like I didn't, but I did use the Collection Velvet Kiss Moisturising Lip Cream in the shade 7 Drama Llama. I don't know if they still sell this. But anyway, I actually quite like the colour. Should I put a little bit of lip gloss on top? Yeah, why not? I'll put a little bit of the Astro Beauty lip gloss on top. Like I said, I don't know if they still sell this. I will try and link it below if they do, but I honestly have no idea. I've literally put the smallest amount on. It's barely even a coating of it, but it's just giving a little bit of shine, something. Why not? But there we go. Would I repurchase the NYX lip lingeries? Yes, 100%. I really want them in like pretty much every colour. Massive thank you to NYX for sending them to me. Fancy sending me some more? I'm joking. I'm kind of joking. Okay, anyway, let's do some final thoughts. So this is my full face of everything I tested this month last year. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section, first of all. I am pretty happy. I mean, at this point in the year, I've done my declutters, I've got rid of things that I don't enjoy, and there was quite a lot in this video from Primark that I did get rid of. But my opinion on Primark is there are some really, really good finds in there. You've just got to find them. Which, when you think how inexpensive Primark is, that's not too bad. Some of the great finds in this video was the Bake It setting powder, the bronzer that's not really a bronzer. I actually really like the matte lipsticks as well, even though I didn't use it. The mascara is one of my favourites. So Primark does have great products, you just have to find them. And you kind of have to accept that if you're going to test a bunch of Primark makeup, there's going to be stuff you're not going to like. But at least you've only wasted like £2 on a blush instead of like £15 on a blush, you know? That's what I'm saying. I think I look quite nice. I think this lip colour with this eye looks really nice, but I think with a brown, we're going into autumn, which I love autumn. I'm so excited for autumn. This is going to be worn a fair amount in autumn. But there we go. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and if you like my content, please consider subscribing. I put up 2 videos a week and it's all makeup content, so if that sounds like a type of thing, then this is the place for you. But other than that, I'll let you go. Have a great day, an amazing week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!